When they begin, it brings back a sound of music. Hi guys, it's Claire again. It's the Monday the 29th of August 2022. And I wanted to talk about it brings back a memory evergreen, which I think I feel a bit embarrassed about. But anyway, I've got a picture of me when I was about 7 years old. Made the picture. I drew it. And there she goes. Pretty naughty girl. Even though I wanted to be a very good girl. I was the oldest of 7 children. My mother had another child nearly every year. When I was 11, we had the 7th. And that put quite a bit of pressure on the older children, so because we had to help a lot, even though we were still very small. So I was a mother at a very early age. Anyway, I'm in good contact with my sisters and brother, and we all have quite a good relationship, at least that's what I feel for myself. We used to live in Holland, and that's where most of them still live. I went later to Australia, and then now I'm in Peru for 15 years. We're all getting older now. I'm 72, 73 in a couple of weeks. And yeah, it's a story that goes on, isn't it? I remember I was a girl that was very interested in climbing trees, even though I wasn't allowed to, and because it would ruin my dress. And I was very interested, especially at this age. This girl that I have here on the picture is a girl that really liked to read cartoon stories. Cartoons about Native Americans and cowboys in the Wild West of the north of the United States, which I haven't really spent a lot of time in, but I do have spent a fair bit of time in South America with the native people. So it's something that was really interesting me, even though I was living in Holland at the time. And I used to like going out to, later on when I was a little bit older and like in my teens, I used to ride my push bike long distances, and I would go to the Museum of Volkenkundig Museum, which is about different peoples and tribes, and they had a lot of jewelry from the native people there that I really enjoyed looking at, and used to marvel that they could do that. So anyway, that was my my early years, and one of the big inspirations in my life was my grandmother, and she was a very religious woman. We were all Roman Catholic, but my mother wasn't very dedicated. She found that the contraceptive methods were a little bit oppressive for women, so she didn't really subscribe to that too much, even though she finally, after the 7th child, she decided to leave the church over this particular issue. Well, I don't blame her for it. It was certainly a huge amount of work for her and for everybody. But we all really enjoyed each other, and we learned a lot of social skills very early in life. Like sharing or not sharing, or how to do this sort of stuff. So that was something very important, taking care of each other. And my father was very adamant that we all learned to take care of each other. He really ran it a little bit like an army, where everyone of the older ones had a younger child dedicated to them, and then they had to help that child with whatever, like putting on clothes or putting on shoes, or help that child to get on in the world. So that was something that stayed with me, and it was a quite important experience for me. And also, I did like the church in some ways, because I like to go to the old churches and dream about the icons and the things that they made, the artwork. The artwork was very impressive to me, and I liked it. And later on, I also was very interested in the face of Jesus. I was always looking for it. I've talked about that on another video as well. And that was something that inspired me to do drawing and look for this particular thing, which I didn't have a photo of Jesus in those days, so that was a frustration. And my grandmother was very supportive of me doing artwork, and whenever we were over at her place, which was away from our place, so we had to go in the holidays, and it was like a special occasion, she had a lot of art books, and I would be copying art from her art books, and I got a lot of appreciation for art out of her being with her. And she also was a woman of prayer and prayed a lot, and she was reading progressive Christian authors, so it was quite an interesting mix for me there, and I really loved her, and she was a very important influence in my life. And she bought me my first box of crayons that was colours of like coloured crayons called Rembrandt Pastels, and that really got me going a lot. But I really was very interested in that, and my mother kept some of the drawings, but I don't know if I can access it now on my computer. So anyway, this is what was sort of behind that story, and as I was getting older, I started to look for the face of God. It never left me. It was maybe something from a past life, and it was with me a lot. So when I saw something of meherbaba, I started to really feel that he had the face of Christ, and I did make several paintings of him in that way, and drawings, a lot of drawings. And some of these drawings have been going on the internet and been printed in different places of magazines and stuff in the meherbaba group. So that was also something quite special for me. Always liked I mean, I never made any money out of that printing stuff, because it was just something I did for the love of it, and to give me a little platform to share Baba with people. So that was something I appreciated as worthwhile doing, and it got me out of my own situation. It was like a prayer. Every time I made a Baba drawing, it was like a prayer. So that was a very wonderful thing to be part of, and I thank Baba for that.